Hi, I'm the Reverend Dr. William L. Johnson III, chaplain here at Christian Hospital Northeast, and welcome to our morning meditation. Every week, we try to deliver and offer up these messages of inspiration and encouragement for those who are journeying through life. We are aware, as always, that we need each other, and sometimes we need encouragement along the way. Even the best of us who seem to have it together often need a word of encouragement, of support, and of solidarity with others who are journeying along with us through this thing called life. And so that's what this message and these messages are for. And so I want to offer for you these messages every week so that you would find yourself at least being encouraged and perhaps sharing these messages with others who might find themselves in a similar position. Now to our morning meditation. Our morning meditation this morning is entitled A Strange Freedom. A Strange Freedom. I thought much about this message today, even as we are navigating through this holiday season. No matter what your faith tradition is or whether you have one at all, we know that this time of year is riddled with all kinds of emotions and thoughts about how to navigate these challenging times in which we live. And so today I wanted to have a conversation with you about what it means to live in a world that may not acknowledge your presence. A Strange Freedom, according to Howard Thurman, offers these words. He wrote a book some years ago. It's a compilation of many of his writings, but this one spoke to me in a really major way. I don't have the words to say here. And this is what he offered to us, and I'm paraphrasing here. It is a strange freedom to be free, but not connected to no one or to no thing, or to be connected to no one or no thing. To be ignored, to be forgotten, to be passed over, to be considered faceless, not considered as human, uh, worthy of any acknowledgement, to be treated as of no account or one that has no meaning. To be known and to be called by one's name is to find a special place. And for those of us who come from a Christian tradition, this time of Advent is a reminder of the way in which Jesus came into the world, one who had no name, no respecter of person. No one considered him important. No one acknowledged his parents. No one thought much of his entrance into the world. In fact, he came in a barn riddled with swaddling clothes, as they say, rags to wear. His mother was poor, father was poor. They didn't really have a place for them to lay down their heads, even in the moment he was born. But what's interesting is it provides for him and a reminder to us that no matter what our upbringing is, and no matter where we come from, or no matter how we have journeyed in life, sometimes those around us may not acknowledge us, but it presents for us a strange type of freedom. This freedom allows us to be able to know that who we are in and of ourselves by being named who we are, or being called by our name, or being acknowledged by the one who created us, allows for us to navigate through the world without the need for affirmation from anyone. No matter who you are, or where you're from, or what your gender is, or how much money your family has, or what your background is, it is something to be said that the moment you came into the world, the one who created you acknowledged you as human being. And if no one else does so, God has already. And that provides for us a strange sort of freedom. So here's what I want to offer for us as we journey through the course of this week and through this holiday season, a reminder to be indeed free. As strange as it may be, not to have connections or need to have connections to anything or anyone, we also are anchored in almost everything. Everyone is connected to us. All people are the same, just as if we were in the place connected to the one whom many in the Christian tradition call God. God comes into the world not acknowledging any power or place or prestige, but comes into the world to identify with all of us. And so we are here. We're here in this place acknowledging a strange sort of freedom, an ability to know that when you woke up this morning, God acknowledged you as God's own. And so that you can move and act and live even beyond the challenges you face, the overwhelming moments and obstacles that you will encounter, and even some of those detractors that try to pull away from who you are as a human being. These moments provide for you a strange sort of freedom. A freedom that does several things, which I will enumerate quickly. A freedom that transports, a freedom that transforms, and a freedom that transcends. I'll repeat, a freedom that transports, a freedom that transforms, and a freedom that transcends. Uh, the root word of these three words, trans, for transport, transforms, and transcends, is that root word trans, which means to change. This freedom that God gives us allows for us to change ports, change the form of a thing, and transcend or move from the places in which we are to something higher, to move higher. To transport, I like this word transport. I don't spend a lot of time with it, but it speaks to changing ports, changing home, changing the docking station, changing the place in which we found ourselves that may not be helpful to who we are. In other words, it is important to know that how you were born or where you were born or who you were with does not always direct what your life will be. And that, my friends, is freedom. The ability to know that who I was is not who I'll always be, and that I am changing ports. I'm moving from one place that I call home to another place to call home. Some of us don't want to change ports. That's fine. But what we find is that we choose the place that we call home rather than home choosing us. In other words, we are at a place where we can choose to be peaceful, choose to be loving, choose to be kind, even though where we came from was not peaceful and was not loving and may not have been kind. This kind of freedom that God gives us helps us to transport. We discover that where we are is on a journey and we move to new ports every day. Transforms. This new freedom transforms. Let me get to that. It changes the way a thing is. In other words, it has the ability and allows us to have the ability to change our environment, change what's around us, change the form of a thing. And so that while we're in it, it has the ability to change it. And we are change agents indeed. Not just to overthrow things, but to change the form, to reshape things so that it will be good for all of those involved. I'm one that appreciates the transformation process. It is that in which I hope that all of us have the ability to do, to walk into a room full of anxiety and stress and bring peace and comfort, to be able to speak and then transform an environment. And I hope that during our journey together, we all are being transformed, changed from what we were into what we ought to be. Like on the potter's wheel, that the clay is molded from one thing to another, and then to transcend. This sort of freedom allows us to climb higher than where we are. Transcending means to get above it, get beyond it. And sometimes we really do need to get beyond it. So how do you deal with the stressors of your life? How you deal with the worry moments that you find yourselves in? You find ways to transcend it, to go higher, to move beyond it. I remember some years ago, I was gathered in a group at Duke University, and we were a part of leadership education at Duke Divinity, and we had an exercise where we had some discussion about how to accept something, to reject something, and to over-accept something. In other words, people can and circumstances can point things at you, and you can very well accept what it is that has been presented to you. Whatever they've called you, whatever they've named you, you can accept it as it is. That's who I am. I am. I'm slow. I'm not fast. I'm whatever this world says that I am. I can accept that, or I have the option to reject it. I can say, no, that's not me. I refuse to accept that identifier. Or we can find ourselves in a place, as many theologians have believed, is that the way God did it in the person of Jesus, to over accept it. In other words, you say I'm this, but let me change in the form of that thing so that what you thought I was or what you thought would not be good, I transform it and allow to transcend it and make it something better than it was before. Yeah, that's what I mean. In other words, you're able to transcend, to move beyond the simple definitions that life has thrown your way. So yeah, that's the meaning of making lemons out of lemonade. It is lemon. They are lemons. It is the substance of lemon. But what do I want to do with these experiences? Transform them, transcend them, and yes, find a way to transport myself from one thing to another. I know this message may seem interesting, but as you move through the holiday season, take these things into account. Whatever you're feeling, see if you can transport it to something else. If you feel sad, see if you can transform the way you feel. If you're in a difficult place and it's hard to get your head above water, see if you can transcend it and go over it. I was in the airplane not long ago, and just the same thing came to mind. The pilot took us up, and while we were trying to figure out how to navigate the turbulence, the pilot asked everyone to put their seatbelts on and to remain seated because we're going to go through a rough patch of sky. And while we were doing so, he said, you know what? How we're going to do it is that we're going to try to pull higher than the clouds so that we can get beyond the turbulence. And sure enough, he pulled us up and we went from a bumpy ride to a place beyond the turbulence. And it was smooth sailing. And when we got there, I discovered something I hadn't seen in a while. We were not only high above everything, but we were above the clouds. And we were able to see the sun even as it shone above the clouds, not what we see underneath. And it showed everything. We could see everything, the storm clouds, the ground, the rain as it was flowing, and now the sun. And I want to remind you, when you transcend and when you climb higher, this God has allowed you to get a view of what life looks like beyond the trouble that you face. You're going to have a good week. And I pray that you're going to have a great holiday season. I want you to know that you're loved, you're appreciated, and you're irreplaceable. It's a strange freedom, but it's worth it. Enjoy your day, enjoy your week, and enjoy the holidays. Take care.